The Sin War, Book 3, The Veiled Prophet by Richard A. Knaak. Uldyssian, the Essenian farmer turned nephalem leader, stood amidst the desolate wasteland that had once been vibrant grasslands, his heart heavy with the weight of countless lives lost. The charred earth and ash stretched as far as the eye could see, a haunting testament to the destructive forces unleashed by both his own uncontrolled rage and the relentless assaults of his enemies. The Ederem, his followers, had suffered greatly, their numbers dwindling with each passing moment. Despite their unwavering loyalty and the extraordinary abilities they had awakened within themselves, they were no match for the combined might of angels and demons that now threatened to consume Sanctuary. In the aftermath of the devastating battle against the Inquisitors, Uldyssian and Mendelm discovered a horrifying truth. Malik, the malevolent high priest of the Triune, had survived his apparent demise and was now possessing the body of Jonas, one of their most trusted Ederem commanders. The revelation sent shockwaves through Uldyssian, for he knew that Malik's insatiable desire for power and vengeance would lead him to seek Uldyssian's own body as his ultimate prize. With this knowledge weighing heavily upon them, the brothers resolved to confront Malik and put an end to his reign of terror once and for all. Meanwhile, Rathma, the son of Anarius and Lilith, had embarked on a perilous journey to the Silver City, the celestial realm of the Angiris Council. He sought to plead for the survival of Sanctuary and its inhabitants, hoping to convince the Council that humanity was not the abomination they believed them to be. Rathma knew that the fate of his world hung in the balance, and he was determined to do everything in his power to prevent its destruction. As Uldyssian and his companions prepared for their final confrontation with Anarius, they were unaware of the even greater threat that loomed on the horizon. The heavenly host, led by the Angel of Justice, Tyrell, had descended upon Sanctuary, their radiant forms filling the sky with an awe-inspiring and terrifying spectacle. They had come to judge Anarius for his transgressions and to cleanse the world of the Nephalem, whom they considered an abomination that should never have existed. The Ederem, caught between the warring factions of angels and demons, fought valiantly but were overwhelmed by the sheer number and power of their adversaries. Uldyssian, his heart filled with despair, witnessed the carnage unfolding around him and realized the futility of their struggle. He had led his people into a war they could not win, and now they were paying the ultimate price. The ground beneath them trembled as demons and angels clashed in a chaotic dance of destruction, their blades and spells leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. The air crackled with energy, and the sky was ablaze with the light of 1,000 suns. In a moment of desperation, Uldyssian unleashed the full extent of his Nephalem powers, his rage and sorrow fueling an unstoppable force that swept across the battlefield. He commanded the angels and demons to cease their conflict, his voice echoing with an authority that even the celestial beings could not ignore. To his astonishment, they obeyed, their movements frozen in midair. The battlefield fell silent, the only sound the wind rustling through the charred grasslands. Uldyssian, overwhelmed by the power he now wielded, realized that he had become more than just a leader, more than just a Nephalem. He had become a god, a being capable of shaping the very destiny of Sanctuary. With this newfound power, Uldyssian contemplated the fate of his world and the role he was destined to play. He envisioned a sanctuary where humans were free from the manipulative influence of angels and demons, a world where they could embrace their own potential and forge their own destiny. However, his moment of triumph was short-lived. The ground beneath him began to tremble violently, and the sky turned a blood-red hue. Fissures erupted across the land, swallowing everything in their path. Uldyssian, horrified, realized that he was the cause of this cataclysm. His uncontrolled power, fueled by his own inner turmoil and the darkness that lingered within him, was tearing Sanctuary apart. In a desperate attempt to undo the damage he had caused, Uldyssian resolved to draw back into himself the chaotic energies he had unleashed. He would sacrifice himself to save his world and the people he loved. With every fiber of his being, Uldyssian began to absorb the destructive forces that raged throughout Sanctuary. His body glowed with an unbearable intensity, and the air around him crackled with raw power. The pain was excruciating, but he refused to yield, his determination fueled by the faces of his loved ones and the hope for a better future. As the last vestiges of chaotic energy flowed into him, Uldyssian reached a point of clarity. He understood that his existence was the source of the imbalance that threatened to destroy Sanctuary. To save his world, he had to sacrifice himself, to become one with the very fabric of creation. With a final surge of power, Uldyssian unleashed the energies he had absorbed, his form dissolving into a blinding flash of light that engulfed all of Sanctuary. The land healed, the sky cleared, and the Edirem were restored to their former selves, their memories of the recent events wiped clean. Uldyssian was gone, but his sacrifice had saved his world and ensured the survival of humanity. In the aftermath of Uldyssian's sacrifice, Mendeln, now known as Kalen, emerged as a leader and teacher. Guided by the wisdom of Tragul and Rathma, he would ensure that the legacy of the Edirem lived on. He would teach others about the balance and the potential within humanity, preparing them for the day when the nephalem would rise again. And so, Sanctuary entered a new era, one where the memory of Uldyssian Uldiomed would forever serve as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the sacrifices made to protect their world from the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells. The 5 members of the Angiris Council, witnesses to Uldyssian's sacrifice and the subsequent truce between the high heavens and the burning hells, convened to discuss the fate of Sanctuary. Imperius, the aspect of valor, argued for the complete annihilation of the world and its inhabitants, believing them to be a threat to the balance of creation. Oriel, the aspect of hope, countered his argument, recognizing the potential within humanity and advocating for their continued existence. Tyrael, the angel of justice, who had initially come to Sanctuary with the intention of judging Inarius and the Nephalem, had undergone a profound transformation. He had witnessed the courage and selflessness of the Edirem and recognized the spark of divinity within them. He now believed that humanity was not an abomination, but rather a unique and valuable part of creation. Casting his vote in favor of Sanctuary's survival, Tyrael declared, "They are the get of angels and demons, with the taint and promise inherent. Left to grow, they might become more monstrous than anything rising from the burning hells. But they also have the greatest potential to serve the light, a potential that could surpass our own roles, and so I vote that they be given their chance." With a tied vote, the fate of Sanctuary hung in the balance. Ithariel, the aspect of fate, after careful consideration, cast the deciding vote in favor of humanity's survival. He believed that the potential within the Nephalem outweighed the risks, and that their existence could ultimately lead to the end of the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells. And so, Sanctuary was spared, but at a cost. The Angiris Council decreed that the Nephalem's powers would be suppressed once more, their memories of the recent events erased. They would be allowed to start anew, to forge their own destiny without the interference of angels or demons. However, Rathma and his fellow Nephalem, the remnants of the first generation, would retain their memories and abilities. They would serve as guardians of Sanctuary, protectors of the balance, and teachers of the next generation of Nephalem when the time was right. As the Angiris Council departed, leaving Sanctuary to its own devices, Mendeln, now known as Kalan, stood amidst the ruins of the Cathedral of Light. He held in his hand the ivory dagger, a symbol of his connection to the Nephalem bloodline and the legacy of his brother. With a heavy heart but a determined spirit, Kalan set out on his new path as a teacher and guardian of Sanctuary. He would ensure that the sacrifices made by Uldyssian and countless others would not be in vain. He would guide humanity towards a future free from the manipulative influence of angels and demons, a future where they could embrace their own potential and shape their own destiny. And so Sanctuary entered a new era, one where the memory of Uldyssian Uldiomed would forever serve as a beacon of hope and a reminder of the sacrifices made to protect their world from the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells. If you enjoyed this summary, please consider subscribing to the channel.